Hola estudiantes, buenas tardes. We are back with another PowerPoint for you. This one is a letter writing guide for your Csec Spanish examinations, so you can ace your paper too. During this presentation, we'll be going through the structure, some tenses you can use, some expressions, and what your examiners are expecting from you. So I hope you're able to learn a lot. So this section appears in paper 2. It requires you to write an informal letter of about 80 to 130 words, and you are usually writing to a friend, a relative, or a pen pal. Now, your goal is to communicate clearly while showing correct Spanish. You must also have good organization and natural expression. If you ignore the format that we are about to go through, you can use easy marks. You can lose easy marks, even if you have spectacular Spanish. So this is the overall structure which must be followed. So on the top right, in the corner, you should have the city and date in Spanish, right? And then on the top left, you should have your greeting, and please address it to someone with a Spanish name. Even if your friend or your family member does not have a Spanish name, it's a Spanish exam, so it's best that you do this. Next, you must have your introduction, then your body paragraphs, and then your closing paragraph. And at the end, you will put it on the bottom left. So you'll add a little closing like my pleasure or hugs or I miss you, something like that, and then you add your name. So let's go over the city and the date plus the greeting, right? So as discussed, you put the city and the date on the top right. Write it clearly in Spanish, like you're seeing here. Remember the day comes before the month. You always use de, so you'd say 10 de marzo, for example. And also use a reasonable date. So if your exam is on May 5th, 2026, your date cannot be May 1, 2026. It doesn't really make much sense. And remember that you do not capitalize your month days, the name of the month in Spanish. And paying attention to this actually shows the examiner that you understand how to write in Spanish. For the greeting, use the appropriate greeting based on gender. So if it's a male, you use querido, which means dear. And if it's a female, you use querida. Remember to address it to a Spanish name. You should put a comma after, and please don't use English, right? Okay. So during the introduction, this is your chance to build your word count. 80 to 130 words could sound a bit intimidating, but if you use your introduction and your closing, not your closing, your conclusion to get some of the words out of the way, you can easily meet that threshold. So you're going to greet the person, but ensure that when you're greeting them, you say hello, you ask them how they're doing, and you also ask how their family is doing as well. And of course, you will state why you are writing. So down here, we have an example. You can also add more words if you like. So, ¿cómo estás? Espero que tú y tu familia estén bien. Te escribo para contarte sobre mi fin de semana. So clearly, you're asking how they are, family, and telling them why you are writing this letter. Now, in the body, this is your chance to fully answer the question. You earn most of your marks here, so please be careful. Answer all the bullet points from the question. Ensure that you address each point clearly and stay relevant, stay on topic. So a strategy tip here, is to mentally tick off each requirement as you write. Maybe you can even go tick it off on the paper. Because if the question asks you for three things and you only answer two, you are going to lose marks. So let's go over the tenses and developing your ideas. Remember to use appropriate tenses. You must show your ability to use the different tenses in your letter. So you can use the past tense, present tense if required, and the future tense. But you will mainly be asked to use the preterite and the imperfect tense, and at the end, you will have to use the future tense. Remember to develop your ideas, so do not use basic sentences. An example of a weak sentence is fui a la playa, right? You're just saying, I went to the beach. Nothing special. But a better sentence is fui a la playa con mis amigos porque queríamos relajarnos y pasar tiempo juntos. So this is clearly a better sentence because it gives detail. So always try to add a reason like porque and add extra details like whom you're going with and where you're going and also why you're going. Remember to use transitions and idiomatic expressions. At this point, use them all over the Spanish paper. It shows that you know your way around the language and you're comfortable with it, which is the entire objective of taking this exam. So your writing should flow like natural Spanish. It shouldn't look like disconnected sentences. So use transitions like y, which means and, pero, but, entonces, so, or it could also mean then, porque, because, sin embargo, however, right? Because listen to how good this sentence sounds. Fui al cine con mis amigos y vimos una película interesante. Sin embargo, era muy larga, right? You should also use idiomatic expressions like qué bueno, qué lástima. In mi opinión, these will make your writing sound way more authentic than it would have sounded if you didn't use them at all. Also, include your future plans toward the end of the letter. Examiners expect this, so you cannot ignore it. So say what you're going to do next. Say what you hope to do when the friend visits. Say something, right? And this shows your ability to stay competent in completing the letter. As for the closing paragraph and the ending, you have to signal that your letter is coming to a close. So you can say, tengo irme. No, tengo que irme ahora porque tengo mucha tarea. Espero tu respuesta. Escríbeme pronto. Right? So in the end, it's best that you say, I hope you read my letter soon. I hope you write back to me soon. I cannot wait to see you. More things to build your word count. And ensure that on the bottom right, you sign off your letter properly. So you can add a closing phrase like con cariño, so with care, Carlos. Remember to also sign off using a Spanish name. It's best to not use your real name. You could also say con abrazos, so with hugs. Some final reminders. Remember to use suitable closings for your letter. So, con cariño, un abrazo, and always use a Spanish name and to always place it at the bottom right. So remember, not bottom left, bottom right. Use proper punctuation like your commas and your full stops. Include accents where possible and where you should put them. And you should also keep your sentences clear and grammatically correct. Ensure that you stay within the word limit. If it is too short, you will lose marks for content. And if it is too long, one, you may lose marks for not following the instructions, and you also increase your chances of making a mistake. So this is everything. Watch the video as many times as you need to. I hope these tips were helpful and that you have no problem in putting them into practice. I wish you all the best. I know you will do well, so don't worry about it too much. Adios.